Morning. I thought I'd come for a walk today because I noticed something by the river the other day, and I thought I'd come and have a look, have a good look, and ask fossils. Now you're probably thinking, oh, a Christian looking for fossils. You don't believe in fossils? Yes, I do. They're there. Of course I do. Now, if you look at, I suppose, the way the world has behaved over the years, I suppose. We've got things like this, where the land, big cliff, lots of layers, land falling away, become lower, obviously plates moving, things like that. Catastrophes, a lot of catastrophes. Now, there are many videos out there of how fossils are not as old as you think they are. They're a lot younger than you think they are. And there are a lot of scientists out there who actually prove that fossils can be made very quickly, compared to my Elder Scrolls walking stick, my favourite walking stick, which I made myself. They prove that fossils are not as old, that fossils can be made in a short space of time. The same as like stalactites, stalagmites, things like that. There's been videos out there of people making stalagmites within weeks, just using a very high mineral content water dripping on an object, and just it creates it within weeks. Perfect stalactite or stalagmite, or whichever one you want, up or down. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down the river and just have a look. As I noticed, there's a lot of stones fallen from up on the cliff up there, and I'm going to see what we can find. There's a lot of noise around, so I'm going to just keep my eye open. There's a lot of noises around today. I don't know if it's animals or could be people. Oh, I will see now. As I've said before, walking on these rocks, they're super slippery. Look for clumps of moss like that, walk on them, but today, because it's been raining, they are quite slippery as well, so I've got to be careful. But what I'm looking for is places like these rocks up here, where they've gathered. Obviously in Wales there's a lot of silicon rocks, and silicon is actually a byproduct of shells. It's the fossilized shells turned to silica, and obviously they used to mine that then and make glass and stuff. And obviously Wales hasn't got an industry anymore. Nigel Farage said he's going to sort that out. He's going to give the steelworks back to Wales. I hope he sticks to his word. But there we go. I'm going to have a look there now, and then if I find anything I will show you. A few different types of stones. Obviously there's a lot of different types of stones you find on riverbanks, especially like their stone riverbanks. Predominantly red stone. This is high iron content stone. I actually made a fish tank once with, and I used this as the riverbed in it. The tank bed, sorry. Well, it was a river tank I made. It was a high flow tank. I used to love making aquariums, of like trying to do them as natural as possible, and I used this stone once to do the bed of it, and it looked fantastic. It did. And the thing is, plants love these stones because, like I said, high iron. Plants love iron. But amongst these, then you find stuff like this. This is silica. This is all. This would be like powdered shells and things, and obviously crushed and then compressed. Even the red stone you'll find, like crystal, silica, things like that. You'll find this, but the grey stones are predominantly what you're looking for to find fossils. You will a lot of shells. It's mostly shells. You'll find these type of stones very crumbly, break easy, break in half. Sometimes when you break them open, you will find like a perfectly preserved like fern or something in there I found some fantastic fossils, and my kids have as well. So you look at this, you know, it's one giant stone. This is, and then you've got the cliff up there. There's a lot of crystal and stuff in those rocks. A lot of bird poo as well. So there's probably a lot of birds of prey nesting in these rocks. I'd say. Peregrines and things like that love. This is their sort of go-to place for nesting. Peregrines and you know, other like things like hobbies and stuff. Because we do get them. Kestrels. Although, yeah, I haven't seen many kestrels. We see kestrels all the time. But now, no. Very, very rarely. Welsh farmers are renowned for killing birds of prey. They think birds of prey, any kind of birds of prey, even kestrels, which is about the size of a sheep's eyeball, think that they are killing their sheep. So it's because they think everything kills their sheep, don't they? But we sort of, you know, it's ridiculous. But like I said, we'll go down here now. Perhaps we might even see some birds of prey nesting. There's something down there which looks promising. I'll have a look now. But a lot of water going down today, so as you can see, and it's cut in under the rock. And you know, in the long run, it'll keep cutting, and then you'll have huge swathes of these cliffs falling down. There's a lot of overhangs, trees hanging right over, so they're going to come down soon enough. You know, dangerous place, I suppose, but beautiful all the same. As I said, I'm going to keep looking now, see if I can actually find some fossils. In these giant slabs of stone along the river, if you get up close, you can see where, like in the past, the river has washed up small shells. The river's been calcified then. And you can see, look, all the little white dots, they're all shells in the concretion of the riverbed. Because in the end, all these rocks, they are concretions. You know, there's formed over time, you know. It's not as, like I said, not as long as they want you to think, but it's sediment that's being compressed together and like fused. I mean, look at cement, how fine cement is, and if you think about it, there's a lot of sediment is cement fine, and there would be points in time where this sediment would settle, and they would turn into this concretion. Because, you know, there's times here when the river's incredibly low. It's almost like a stream. Because I think that, like, by here, it's a lot deeper than what people think it is. But it's almost like a stream, the river is. So for the summer, it gets baked, turned into a concretion, and then you'll get another load on top of that, and keep going. So even though you get the river cutting through the stone, you've also got the river building the stone as well. This was where I found a lot of fossils last time, so let's see if I can find some now, and then I'll film it then. One of the reasons you have to be super careful when you're in places like this is because of, if you look at this rather giant rock, well, that rock is from up there. Now this is probably, I'd say 60-70 feet high. Easy, 60-70 feet high, maybe a bit more. Now this rock has come from up there, and it's, I'd say, across the river there is probably about 30 to 40 feet across the river there. So this rock has come from up there. It's not come at an angle, it basically is bounced, it's hit things on the way down and it's spun over here, and yeah, so I'm going to move from under these cliffs actually, because it does get a bit worrying, you know, that when you're, especially when it's raining as well, because you know they're loosening the earth and things like that. So all these rocks here, look, I come from up there, yeah. So yeah, you know, you got to be careful. There's a fuchsia flower there, so it's I know there's houses further up, I suppose, so yeah, probably came from the garden somewhere. It's houses that have blocked off the ancient footpath, which I have a map, an old map from 1865, I think it is, of this area, and it's a cycling map, and it's it shows like the footpaths around here, and there's one that goes all the way down here. This bit, this is the branches coming across here. That's not good. I don't actually remember this last time I came down here. I mean, look at the size of these stones. Huge stones, look, like that slab there. That's come from there. That's bounced off the cliff on the way down, that is, and sort of, yeah, not good. So what I'm doing now is try and get my feet onto these moss clumps so we can, yeah. Doing very well today. I'm going to turn my camera off so I can just get over this bit. I'm a bit further away from the cliff face now. You said it's a dangerous area, obviously. So you got to be careful. There's a lot of trees falling down. Every time I come for a walk down here, and I love walking down here. It's one of my favourite things. Like, I do bring the dogs down here now and again, but it's I don't know. They either pull you over or they slip, and they could, you know, they can hurt themselves as well. You got to be careful when you take your dogs. But today, like I said, I came here for the sole purpose of looking for fossils, and because, like I said, I'm very interested in fossils. Always have been. It's something my father got me into, and I got, you know, I sort of got my kids doing it as well, and they love doing it. They love looking for fossils, and they found some good ones, especially my daughter. She's found some absolute crackers, and my son found a really good one. He was going to throw a stone in the river last year or the year before. He was going to throw a stone in the river up the Turch, and just as he was going to throw it, he looked at it and he said, "Oh, look at this!" And it was a fantastic fossil of a fern. Alright. This is there's not a lot falling off this one. There's an overhang there, some overhangs there. So, well, there's mostly plants on this. It's down there, that way, over there. That's where you can see where most of the things are falling. I can imagine what they look like when they're coming down. There's the slippery rocks down into the water. A lot steeper than it looks. There's got a famous spot up Ystrad, the place we used to live. That it's called Pone Black. I have done videos on the place. It's where the lime kilns are. Well, there's a very famous rock, and it goes down a little yellow wagtail there. It's cool. I think it was a yellow one. I'm not sure if it's yeah. Because there's a few, isn't there? There's the yellow, the grey, and the pied. Yeah, so I think that was the yellow. Yeah. But anyway, there's a famous spot up in Pone Black, and there's a rock going down to the water, and it's like these, and everybody who walks on that rock comes across, but because it ends up down in the pool. But unfortunately, somebody's been up there vandalising the famous pools and moving the rocks, and the pools are no more. And obviously there was the famous ford, which used to be, I used to love fishing at a ford, and fished there for years, decades, and you know, there's a huge tree come down and it took the ford out, so that's long gone now, you know. But I've said the river's forever changing. All the rivers are forever changing. They always, you know, moving stuff around. Look at those trees up there. They're massive. They're bigger than they'll actually look on film there. They're huge. And you know, soon enough they'll come down. This place always makes me smile. As I was half expecting a long-necked dinosaur to poke his head out of the water. It's lovely. Absolutely beautiful, yeah. It's, you can see, I don't know if you can see the rock underwater here, and there's a channel going up there then, and then comes into this deeper area. And it goes down. Look at that, it does, it just looks something Eden. Something from Eden, and this is the thing. We live on Eden. We're Eden's keepers. You know, do you think God just wants us to walk around moping about everything? Of course he doesn't. You know, all this climate change nonsense that the left is spouting. Look at this, they're lovely. Yeah, all this climate change nonsense the left is spouting all the time. We forget all that nonsense because yes, climate change, we have got climate change, of course we have. The climate changes all the time. 1,000 years, climate changing all the time, up and down, of course it is. All these people say, we're going to drown, the sea's going to be up to our doors, we're going to be living up in the on top of the mountains, like in the Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda. We're going to be living on the mountain tops. And which one is the Wind Waker? That's right, the Wind Waker, where the islands are mountain tops, aren't they? And Hyrule is on the bottom of the sea. That's what they all think. Everybody, absolute nutters. And if you go to all these marks where the by the sea, where, you know, hundreds of years ago these marks were put in place and carved and said, you know, this is the sea level, blah blah blah. It's still there. It hasn't got any higher, any lower. It's still there. I tell you what. And what's going on in the world now? Everybody mentalists all over the bloody place again. Fighting and burning things, and bloody, you know, years ago they were screaming out, you all have to have electric cars, and now what are they doing? Burn electric cars, kill them. Nutcases, absolute nutcases. They've all been in asylums in the past, of course they would have. I know they're all seeking asylum. But ching. Aye. Anyway. Look at this. I was going to sing a Jurassic Park music again, but I forgot what it goes like. Well done me. There we are. Absolutely stunning. If you have the time or inclination, it's worth coming down to the river, because the amount of these aren't beaver dams, by the way. We don't have them over here. Well, not in this part of the country anyway. They have been introduced in other parts of the country, but not here. This is basically driftwood, river driftwood. If you have the time or inclination, it's worth coming down here. I found some cracking pieces. It's you know, because obviously I like my turtle pond and my fish and stuff like that, and I'm always looking for, you know, good pieces of wood for the tanks and things like that. So, all right. Right over there. Saying it being like Jurassic, and I mean look at this, these mossy vines hanging down, and up there you got the ladder ferns and moss, and you've got the moss covered rocks, and then the river cutting through the stone and laying stone, and, you know, it's awesome. This is what we get a lot of in Wales, because this is runoff and remnants from the mining days, because the tin mines, you know, the ironworks, tin mines, things like that, there would be a lot of runoff, and we get all of this because Welsh countryside is, you know, it's shaped on mining. Obviously in the past they would have seen this, right, there's tin in there, let's get in there, dig into that bank, get the mine out, get the tin out, sorry, get the mine out, get the tin out, and then you'd have, but what, it's like, when I lived in Ystad, I was absolutely convinced that there was a mine under the house. I was convinced of it. I was cleaning the drains used to get blocked a lot, and I was cleaning the drains, and I was pushing the rod through, and I heard the water, or the waste in the drain falling a long way and splashing. It was no way that the manhole was that deep. It was going somewhere. And then when I looked on the government websites, there are 4 mine entrances pointing into the village. So you've got, and the one was not about, you're talking about 150 yards from the house. And there was always a smell, like a bad smell. And methane builds up in these mines, and it's bloody dangerous, it is. And there was always a bad smell around there. The people said it was the drains. I don't think it was. I think there's a mine under the street. And I think people need to look into it, because the old house we used to live in has been bought up by, a young mother now, I think. But I think she needs to look into it before she commits, to be honest with you. You want to see these places in the winter when they're all frozen. They're absolutely stunning. Huge sheets of icicles hanging down. Well, they're stunning now, but like I said, it's the winter, it's something else. So I think I'm getting close to as far as I can go down here now, I think, because there's a big pool down there, like off in the distance I can see it down there, but obviously if the river gets any higher, I'm going to have to go up into the woods there and get back, but there's no path up there, or at least I don't think there is. Like I said, I'm just walking, I just like walking along riverbanks, but I mean, look at the water coming down there. Water. Like across the way there, obviously it's overgrown, but there's all farmland behind that. But you can see it's lapping, it's right up here. Last time I came down here, the water was only 2 by here, but now it's lapping the sides there now underneath this small drop. It's alright to walk on this stuff, because it's like I said, it's very mossy and it's very grippy. This moss really does cling to the rock, so it's easy to walk on. There we go. I'm going to go down by here now and then have a look, and then probably head back again. Like I said, I just like coming to places like this because there's nobody else around, and it gives you time to think. Yeah, there's a lot of like I said, we had a lot of rain lately, and there's a lot of water coming down. I mean, look at this there, absolutely stunning little waterfalls. This time 2 weeks ago, that wasn't even there. That was that wasn't there. That was obviously, yeah, it's a natural outlet where water comes down, but look at that, they're brilliant, absolutely stunning. And if I haven't found any fossils today, I don't know. I don't know if we've had a big flood. We might have, and like a lot of the stones got washed away. But you can see over here, there's a lot of limestone. It's the limestone where the fossils are, with the silica and things like that. And I'm cutting through there again, like. But absolute, what a place! They're lovely, absolutely lovely. But yeah, I won't be doing fishing videos for a long while now, I don't think, because obviously it's getting more and more restrictive now. You're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. Well, they tell you you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And yeah, it's getting crap. I need to head down to the sea, because like I said, that's my thing. Sea fishing is my thing, mainly. That's what I grew up with. So that's what I'm going to do. Get my boy. He has certain conditions, so I got to get all that sorted before I can take him out. And I want to I'll do that, and I will, and because he's yet to catch his first fish, and he's always on about it. He wants to catch his first fish, and you know, what is he? 13 now, 12, 13, and he still hasn't caught his first fish. I caught my first fish when I was 3 years old, and I got a picture of it as well. Standing with my dad, holding my arm up with this trout, brown trout. Bloody clubs got all over the place and started ruining it for everybody. Aye. I'm just going to go over there now and have a look. Aye, it was a bit scary coming across that bit. It was not a lot of grip, to be honest. You can see that a lot of the moss has been like knocked off the rocks by the rough river. So obviously, at some point over the last week or so, the river's actually come up really high over there. So, in the mirror now. A big pool down there. Look at that. Lovely little pool there. They're like rock pools. It's amazing. They're like, I wish it was easier access down here. I'd like to bring my boy down there because he loves going through little rock pools and things. Although he did go and pick up, he tried to pick up a water scorpion. He wasn't very clever of him, like, but there we go. They got a hell of a pinch on them. They haven't got a bite. They don't use fangs. They've got their front legs they use to grab and look them up, so you know what they look like, so you don't try and pick one up yourselves. They are horrible looking things there. But, yeah, I'm just going to put my phone away now because it's getting a bit slippery there. It's been nice having this time, sitting and contemplating, you know, but, because it's not all bad. It's not all bad. The world is what we make it, you know. We know God wins in the end, but it's the bad people who exploit the fact that we were given free will, and the bad people exploit that because they don't seem to care where they're going to go after they pass away. So the bad people make the world difficult for the rest of us. But if we didn't have those difficulties, then what would we do? We'd be like the characters out of with the Time Machine. Remember, they were very subdued. The people who the Morlocks were eating in the future, they were very subdued. And when that alarm went off, they sort of off they went, you know, and the Morlocks ate them then, didn't they? But so what I mean, we need the difficult times because we have to learn how to deal with things. It's like me now. I'm coming up to a difficult time. I've been told by the civil servant that I'm no longer allowed to be self-employed. If I am self-employed, then I'll get no money, no help, anything like that, and I'll lose my flat, I'll starve. But if I came on a boat, I'd have everything, wouldn't I? But there we go. So this is it. You know, you've been punished for being a British citizen. Obviously, you know, absolute clown shoe star, man. I don't know how he doesn't get the fact that people absolutely hate him. They hate him. He's a clown. They hate him. They're calling him the C word all over the place. Everybody's calling him. The MPs are calling him. You know, his own party can't stand him. Absolute clown shoe. You know, and I said before he even got in. I said it years ago. But you wait to see the mess in the country if that idiot gets in. I said, there we are. has happened. It's crazy times. But like I said, God wins. He does. But it's the meantime. It's the meantime. It's the free will thing. This is the thing. You know, we have to make a difference. We have to push back. There we go. Yeah, anyway, like I said, a lot of thinking to do in the next few weeks now. Like I said, I'm probably going to lose the flat. But there we go. We'll see what happens now. We'll see what happens. I've lived there since 2018. It's you know, my own stamp on it. There we go. I have to put everything into storage now. But anyway, I'm not going to let it get me down. Nope, not at all. And I'm going to crack on with everything. Probably going to have to jump through a few hoops for the establishment. Years ago I wouldn't have bothered, I wouldn't have done it, but like I said, I got kids, I can't not, you know. So we'll see what happens now. I've got some ideas and hopefully they'll come to fruition now. But I think I work better under pressure anyway, so I always have. There we are. Anyway, God bless you all. Stay good, stay moral, and yeah, stay happy.